Hi, everybody. Maria here. I want to contribute to the whole discussion about the lunar eclipse that's happening right now. We're under a lunar eclipse. It's in Scorpio, 25 degrees to be exact. If you know your astrology, you can check and see if you have any planets at 25 degrees or so within a 5-degree orb of Scorpio or even Taurus. You know, you might have something in Taurus that's right around those same degree points. So it's going to affect you just a little more if you have the personal planets impacted in that direct degree manner. But I feel like a full moon impacts everybody, and whatever sign it's in, it's almost as though, well, regardless of where your moon is in your natal chart, we all get to experience what it's like to have moon in Scorpio. And when it's a lunar eclipse, this is an invitation to refine, you could say, the lower frequencies of what it's like to have moon in Scorpio. Now, moon in Scorpio, for those of you that have that, I do, you will know this, it's a pretty intense moon. It wants a deep connection. It wants deep attachments. It wants deep commitments. It wants all or nothing. And on the sort of lower frequency end of that spectrum, it wants to kind of possess the other. And it wants the others to meet their needs. And what I'm sensing now, both in myself, but also in the clients that I've talked to over the last couple of days, and lunar eclipses have this tendency to be active both before the exact eclipse and you know, really weeks after. It's a transformational process. We're constantly being offered the opportunity to refine, to increase our frequency, our vibration, raise our vibration in a certain area of our life. And right now, that area is our deep emotional connection to other people. So what does it mean to be connected emotionally to other people? If we are in a pure state of love, emotional connection means I love you so much that I'm totally letting you be you, setting you free, setting you free to come to me, and setting you free to move away from me, setting you free to be you, to go do your thing, to come back. And I'm also setting myself free to go do my thing, to come back, not come back. So there's sort of a flow where each individual in a constellation like this doesn't take it personally whether or not the other person is fully available. So rather than try to manipulate the other person into meeting our needs, there is such a love for the other person that you want them to do their own thing. The purest version of that is those of you that are parents, and especially if you're an empty nester, and I'm quite recently an empty nester, you will know this. So there's this sense of your kids flying off, and yet there's still connection, of course, you love them, but you have to really be cautious about expecting them to meet any of your emotional needs, right? That's really the purest form of that unattached, unmanipulative love. And I have clients that bemoan the fact that they're not hearing from their kids, that their kids are not texting them back, their kids are not connecting. And it's like, hello, this is, your children are not there to care for you emotionally, right? They are there to receive emotionally from you, and then they go off. And that doesn't mean that they aren't caring and kind and can respond to a text and all that, but you know, it can get into that realm where it starts to become manipulative, where you start to pout if you don't hear back from them in a certain, you know, within a certain period of time or something like that. Now, where we really can go awry is when we start to apply that level of attachment or even manipulation in our romantic relationships. And most relationships have some of that going on. And that's where we end up contorting ourselves to meet the needs of someone else. So whatever their untransformed needs are for caretaking, really for parenting, we end up sort of fitting into that, and that becomes that codependent interweaving of two people, where it's not a free, unconditional, I am fully present to my own divine self, and I radiate that love on you, and you do that with me, and we come together in deep love, and then we go do our own thing. There's a control aspect to it, and that's what Scorpio, that's sort of the downside of Scorpio. It loves fiercely, it loves intensely, it wants to know everything about you, it wants to be raw and authentic, and that's a really beautiful thing, and I love everything Scorpio for that reason. But most people that I know who has Scorpio, myself included, can tend to also want to get in there and want that connection, whether or not the other person is in the mood for it. Right? So that's where these triggers come up, where we trigger each other, and the Scorpio person can't let go. It wants that connection when he or she wants it, or they want it. And that's the one I think we're challenged to let go of. So again, whether or not you actually have Scorpio in your natal chart, any tendency to not let the other one be totally free, come to you when they want to, leave when they want to, connect with you when they want to, and not connect with you when they don't want to. And granted, you could be in a partnership where the connection that the other person wants is so not aligned with the level of connection you want, and then you let them go. Right? So instead of chasing after them and wanting them to meet needs within you that they're not naturally wanting to meet, it's like many couples are demanding that the other person be the parent they never had, but they're not actually willing to do that for themselves. So they want this other person to do it. And that's where relationships can feel so tight, and why people so often end up breaking out of relationships. So I feel like right now, under this beautiful red moon, this beautiful lunar eclipse in Scorpio, 25 degrees of Scorpio, we're all being asked to check in with ourselves. Where am I loving freely? To love is to release. To love is to let go. To love is to hold loosely. My arms are here for you when you need them. They're not here to satisfy their own need to hold. Yeah. So I would ask you, or invite you, to examine both ends of that spectrum. I would ask you to check in with yourself. Where am I in expectation of someone else connecting with me, and where am I losing myself in expectations that aren't being met, and it actually impacts me to the point of where I'm leaking my energy into that dynamic. And the flip side of that, and we tend to be on both ends of that spectrum, the flip side of that is where is someone needing me, pulling on me in a way that feels like it's taking away from me, it's trying to suck my energy, it's trying to pull me into the role of a parent that I don't want to be in. It doesn't feel natural to me. And we tend to do that because there's sort of this bargaining, like, okay, I'll do some of that for you, and then you do some of that for me. Maybe a more elevated version of a deep, committed, even mutually responsible relationship is being so grounded within ourselves, so connected to the divine within ourselves, that we are not dependent on the other to fill that need. Now, again, that doesn't mean that we aren't in deep exchange with someone. It doesn't mean that we all go off and we're an island onto ourselves and we don't need each other, and we don't need to co-evolve and co-create and collaborate and all of that. But that's a little different from that little sort of undertow of you owe me. I'm a victim. You know, if you don't give me that, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to pout. I'm going to give you the cold shoulder. That's the one that I think we're all asked to look at right now. And a mantra that we could all choose to use: to love is to release, to let go. To love is to set free, right? The people that we have in our lives, and it's more often friends than partners, and that's where that sort of toxic expectation can creep into partnerships, are the ones that love us as we venture out into the world, that support us and are excited for us as we venture out into the world, even if it at least momentarily take us away from meeting their need. Yeah? To love is to release. To love is to even release ourselves from expectations. To love is to let go. That's really unconditional love. So I guess that's my contribution to what I think this lunar eclipse is about, which is a little bit less complicated and detailed than a lot of what I've been watching about this. I think it's really a lot more simple than that. And maybe that's because I have moon in Scorpio. So I kind of know both the lower frequency and the higher frequency of that. When I'm triggered in love, the lower frequency arises. And when I am more in my higher self, when I'm in a better place, the higher frequency can come out. And of course, for all of us in all aspects of ourselves, we aspire to expressing a higher and higher frequency of a given quality. So that's what I got for you today. Happy lunar eclipse. Get outside and watch it tonight if you can. It's absolutely beautiful. If it's not overcast, you'll be able to see it. Sending you so much love. Bye for now.